when I was lifting as a vegan for a while. So I just want to tell you guys a little bit about my journey as a competitor, what I do on a daily basis, what I eat, how I lift, and why this whole thing is important to me. So, long story short, last spring, so this spring, 2019 spring, I competed for the first time in an untested show and won against omnivores, non-tested competitors. So we don't know, but they haven't been tested. They potentially have been using, performance-enhancing drugs, illegal substances, and I was a natural competitor and vegan, and that was like a huge kind of revelation to me that I couldn't believe that as myself as a vegan, I couldn't believe that we could get enough muscle and look like that. As women also, we don't have a lot of testosterone, but that was possible. And my coach was like, go compete, girl. And I was like, no. So anyways, that happened. I competed in another show, won another couple awards, 7 awards in total as a first competitor ever, competitor who's never won before, and an overall winner. So, thank you. After kind of proved to myself that, yeah, that's possible, not just to be strong, but to also look like you are strong and impressive, I got certified, and now I'm a women's strength coach. I quit my job in construction. I'm originally a civil engineer and architect and mathematician by education, but that wasn't bringing enough joy, and teaching women how to feel strong and beautiful in the gym brings me a lot of joy, so that is what I do now. A little more about me. I am originally from Voronezh, Russia. You are probably thinking that, oh, she's Russian, she's been lifting all the time, that's what they all do. No, not really. My dad is a bodybuilder, an amateur bodybuilder. They, with the boys, they've just been lifting in the gym, and I kind of grew up around it, but it was like so pushed onto me that I was just a nerd, and I was first, if you look at the picture in the middle, I'm the one on the right. I'm the fat kid. So I was a fat kid, and then I was a skinny fat teenager, kind of insecure about everything. And I didn't start lifting until college, when I was studying a lot. So I came to Duke in 2011, and the program was so rigorous that I was like, I couldn't feel control in almost any part of my life except for the weight room. So that gave me such strength and control, and the sense of, if I do X, Y, and Z, I will gain these other things, and there's no professor, nobody. This is just my body that I kind of work and get results. That sense doesn't leave me till today. It's amazing. So I haven't started lifting until college, sophomore year, and shortly after, well, of course, I've talked to my dad and all the friends from home about this, and we would exchange knowledge, and they would help me with programming and stuff like that. Shortly after, I started coaching a girlfriend and a sorority friend, and then it just kind of became, I wasn't like a professional coach, but people would just ask me for advice, and I don't know how, only until last year, it didn't occur to me that, yeah, I should certify and help other people do this, but finally, we're here. What else? I've only been vegan for 2.5 years. I was paleo before, and I should say a lot of people are probably going to throw this, or want to throw this into the face of new vegans who are like, oh, you grew all your muscle when you were meat eater. Well, wrong. I was trying to power lift. I was pretty weak. I could maybe do 1 pull-up and like a couple of chin-ups. I thought it was like such a, I thought it was amazing, but that wasn't the case. I almost passed out during a run once when I was eating like mainly lean animal proteins like egg whites and turkey like way before, and they tested our blood at work. So as a 23-year-old powerlifter eating what they call clean, I hate that word in relation to food. There's no dirty food, okay? So I was eating like that, and I got borderline risk cholesterol, terrible triglycerides, and absolutely terrible ratio of good and bad cholesterol. So after that, I was just like, why am I doing all these things and they're not working? So I stumbled upon What the Health, and that just kind of opened my eyes towards, there's another way. It doesn't have to be egg whites 3 times a day. I never looked back. It just made sense. So now I have a blog, I have a company, and an application that I use for my clients that helps women get stronger, keeps them accountable. I help them with their diet. I help them with the workout regimen, any kind of motivation or whatever the folks need. Oops. Oh boy. We got this. Okay. So, like I said, What the Health was the first thing I watched, then all the other, Forks of Knives, other documentaries, but having just graduated Duke, I was like, maybe I shouldn't just take my information from a Netflix documentary. That doesn't sound legit. So I would say, like, until Game Change, this is my favorite documentary until now. I will still do research by myself as much as possible and try things. If they say, yeah, I can eat enough protein as a vegan and still feel strong and powerful, well, let's try it. Maybe it's, BS. Until I tried, I wouldn't believe it. And I tried all these things and I haven't disproved any of them so far. So it's been all right. So the first motivation to go vegan was health. My cholesterol dropped 3 times in, I think, 8 to 10 weeks. And my triglycerides were normal. I felt amazing. And I had a personal record in all bench, squat, and deadlift. I didn't end up competing powerlifting because my dad had a health issue and I had to actually was with his back, and he was like, if you compete, I'm gonna kill you. And I was like, all right, Dad. So I switched to bodybuilding, the supposedly easier sport, or easier on your joints and bone health. You can still argue that, but I promised Dad not to compete in powerlifting, at least anytime soon. The second reason was love. I have a dog, and it just didn't make sense why, if I wouldn't eat my dog, you can see she's like helping me to foam roll over there, and we hike with her. She was like waking me up every morning. If I wouldn't eat her, why would I eat another creature? And then I'm also a pretty huge environmentalist. I get really pissed off in restaurants when they give me straws, and then if I say I don't need one because they touched it, they throw it away, like I'm just ready to like go fight that person.
Yeah.
Or if they give you a bottle of water at an event or an Airbnb for free, I'm like, I don't need it. I have my Tupperware, okay? I have my water bottle. So the environmental reason was also such a no-brainer, because if you can feed all that food and let that creature drink water for 2 years and kill it, why not, say, a cow, right, or a pig? Why not just feed that food to humans? It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, if you want to like go hunt and kill like one animal a year and eat it like that, sure, maybe if you're okay with that, but turning animals into machines and just trashing our planet, that makes 0 sense. So environment, compassion, health. Bernie Macer is wrong. Actually, that's a pretty selfish argument, but it's been really nice. I haven't told many people, I'm not this person who's like, oh, I'm vegan, here, look at me. Usually we're friends with folks from the gym or somebody else for a while, and then they kind of sort of figure out that I'm vegan if, we go to a restaurant or we do some other things, or I come in an obnoxious activist t-shirt, and they're like, oh, wait, how are you don't eat and you're a bodybuilder? What? It doesn't make sense. Like, I'll show pictures later, but I'm in the smallest division. I'm in bikini. It's the smallest bodybuilding division for women, and I'm vegan, and I can lift more than probably most females at our gym. And some of them are powerlifters, some of them are bodybuilders in larger divisions, and they're not natural, and they eat meat. So, I mean, maybe it's genetics, but I'm sure some of it is your dedication and other things. You just know what you're doing, and that you know how to nourish your body, and that my diet is not Coke and Oreos, and performance in the has gone up a lot since I've been vegan, to be honest. I may feel bloated if I just eat too many raw veggies, but I don't feel like there's a brick in my stomach when I run anymore, which I used to when I used to eat, obviously, meats that had saturated fats and all of these other antibiotics and whatever they feed them, And my favorite is I can be vegan, because so why not? It's the easiest thing to do. You go to the store and you have as many plant-based milks as you have cow milks. So if it's easy, why are you not doing this? It's 2019. Like, if you want to eat meat, you can, but now you can have all the nutrients and you can have enough energy and protein, whatever else you need, as a vegan. So why not? I didn't realize how cold it is in the shade. Do you mind if I stand over here so I don't freeze? Okay. I don't want to get sick. Okay. There's a saying in Russia, it's called, my body is my fortress. Oh, sorry. It says, my house is my fortress, meaning I will do anything to protect my house, to make sure my house is all nice, the roof is not leaking, just this is the place where I have to live. I've kind of adapted it to my body is my fortress. Think about it. Your body is the only place you have to live. I don't want to go into religion, but for now, the body is the thing you should take care of the most. If you're not taking care of your body, everything else is gonna suck. So you may as well. Silent activism, like I said, I don't go yelling that I'm vegan, and I wait until people just like see how I perform in the gym. They see what I'm doing like in life, on stage, how I train clients, and then after that, like when I just kind of get respect out of whatever I do, after that, if they learn that I'm vegan, the effect of the wow effect is so much larger. So if any of y'all lift, run, whatever, I would recommend just, letting that pile up and then letting people figure it out. They'll be shocked and they'll start watching all these documentaries and questioning things. I just love lifting weights. That's another reason. That's my way of decompression. I usually would save the workout for the end of the day. A lot of people go to the gym in the morning because it's so hard. They just want to, get it done before they need to do anything else. Like their motivation goes down during the day. My motivation to do other things is so much lower than to lift. I want to lift all the time. I probably shouldn't, or I don't, I gotta do other stuff, write a coach. So I save it for the day, and then just enjoying the workout, hang out with friends, chat with my coach. It's wonderful. And I absolutely love teaching women who are afraid that if they lift something larger than a glass of wine, they're going to be like, well, I love letting them bust those stereotypes by themselves. I love teaching them how to lift with proper form so that they don't damage their bodies, so that they get stronger and healthier. And as a side effect, they also become more what society is considering beautiful at the moment. So this is the bodybuilding divisions for women, in case y'all don't know. I'm the smallest division on the left right now, or I was last spring. My friend Erin, I'm going to call her out with purple hair over there, she is in women's physique. So if you want to talk to another bodybuilder, go talk to her. We both have colored hair. So she is in a larger division, has more muscle. I absolutely, that's probably my favorite division. I love it. My ultimate goal would probably be to compete in women's physique in a couple of years, but that's if stuff lines up, if I have enough patience, etc. Figure is in the middle, so as you see, the amount of muscle is different, it goes up to the right. The amount of leanness goes up to the right. And the posing is totally different. They actually just got rid of women bodybuilding recently in the Olympia, so now you can't be a professional women bodybuilder, which makes sense because who would want to be like that? It's kind of hard, and I'm not sure if it's necessary. I think all the other divisions are pretty feminine and mixed. I do also want to point out that these ladies kind of look big and muscular only because they're pretty lean. Like, I am bigger than I was in the first slide when I was like lean on stage standing with the sword. Right now, I have more fat and have more muscle. So when I lean out, hopefully I will have more muscle and have more balance. But you kind of don't see this because I have a blanket of fat on top of my muscles and it just doesn't look as defined. And so do most people who lift and exercise. So we all have muscle, we all have abs, they're just, hidden by the nice blanket of fat, which is totally okay. It is healthy. This is my friends who we competed with. On the right is a non-tested show, and all of these three women except for me, I'm in a blue suit, they're in other colors. All of these women are mothers. The two ladies, the red suit and the green suit, they have 2 kids, and they're, I think, both 32 or 35. Something like that. And then the one on the left in the white suit, she has 5 kids, and this is the picture when she's on stage after having given birth 8 months ago. So also just want to let you know that you can do this at any age after having children. If you put enough dedication to looking better or doing this, You can. It may take a little more effort, but that also means you will feel more reward, right? And then on the left, at the bottom, all of us mermaids are at the tested show where the OCB Colonial opened in Virginia, and up top is a stage shot, so you see how that all looks. Do you want to give a warning to everybody? If anybody wants to, come to the gym and try to work really hard to get to that level to look like this, being stage lean is not healthy on a daily basis. And the photos right there, I'm 9% body fat. I think I've lost my period 2 months before these pictures were taken, or maybe more. That is not the body fat percentage that is healthy for women to be in. We are happiest between 14 to 25, and men between 6 to 17. For women it's larger because we need more hormones, more fat around our belly and hips, obviously to be fertile. So you don't feel good when you look like that. And you can probably see that, or you think that I felt wonderful and amazing when I'm standing there with the sword or with the medal. But then look at this. This is seconds before I was on stage. I am covered in 3 layers of nasty, sticky orange tan. I took my heels off, and I'm trying to not mess up my bedazzled bikini while I'm squatting and pulling bends all kinds of ways to get muscle pump before I go on stage. So that's the non-sexy part of bodybuilding that not a lot of people talk about. Go on Instagram, see who has these photos. Not a lot of people, but that is the majority of what you do. You wake up, you run, you eat, and then you eat again, and if you don't want to sometimes, maybe 5 times a day. Your water consumption decreases before show to have muscles pop, what they call. So you're pretty dehydrated there. You're pretty pissed at everybody because you're very hungry, and you got to work out twice a day for 2 months before show. So, and after show, a lot of people end up with eating disorders. So, if any of you are thinking oh man, I could do this once, think again. This is not a lifestyle for everybody. This is my way to do activism. This is my way to disprove to people that, yeah, you can build enough muscle as a woman and as a vegan and natural without any drugs and be healthy. But just get to a healthier place, and you shouldn't strive to be competition lean by any means. If y'all are wondering what my training is like, so it is very different off season and during competition prep. So right now I'm off season and I just switched coaches. So my coach is my Russian buddy, who is a multiple national powerlifting winner. So thus my training split is more powerlifting strength building oriented, is because that is what I enjoy. I like lifting heavy weights and putting them down. Maybe that's what we dumb people do. We're not moving it, we're just picking it up and putting it in the same place. What's the point? But anyways, that's what I do 5 times a week. So my training split is today, actually Sunday was chest day. I did chest, triceps, biceps, and then I have a day off. I'm doing squats and shoulders next day. And as you can see, the heavy and light, good muscle pump, and I'm not necessarily trying to focus on strength. I'm trying to focus on hypertrophy, which means muscle size. So I vary my training a lot to keep muscles growing where they need to, and keep and probably gonna also add cardio every day on top of that. So I'm probably in the gym for about an hour and a half to 3 hours every day on average. Food. We can talk about food finally. Most people think that you just eat grass and peas and lick ice and tofu every day. I don't know. I used to work in construction. They saw me eat delicious things, yet people still couldn't believe that my diet is pretty much their diet. It just doesn't have any animal products, so I can still have pizza, Indian food, you name it, but somehow it blows people's minds. So, there is absolutely a way to get enough protein. I would say you'd have to try really hard or just be malnourished, just not eat enough food, period, to not get enough protein as a vegan. So as you can see all the foods on the slide, right? Beans, tofu, tempeh, dark leafy greens. Dark leafy greens have a lot of protein if you didn't realize. So if you like keep adding pea shoots or spinach to your smoothies, you're gonna get protein from those. Protein from soy milk, so nutritional yeast is gonna creep up. And you're definitely gonna get enough if you just eat enough, period. That is my website where I occasionally post stuff that I eat on prep or off season. I don't post very often, but I try to like really nail down good recipes and then I put them up. So these are all pictures of the food that I made recently. They're like waffles, TVP, stuffed bell peppers, spicy tofu, seitan, cauliflower seitan pizza with tofu ricotta cheese, and I made the cashew chickpea spinach dip for Super Bowl. So if you guys need help with recipes or any healthy ideas, check out the website. I try to use Whole Foods because you can go to pretty much any other recipe website and be like, oh, replace mayo with vegan mayo, replace cheese with vegan cheese. Well, thanks. That's not what I'm trying to do. Everybody can do that, okay? But check those out. If you have any suggestions, if you have any requests, shoot me a message. I would love to experiment. I would love to cook and make things that are delicious, also delicious, but vegan and macro-friendly. So my typical diet doesn't really vary off-season and during prep. It's just the amount of food that varies. And I think that's a really healthy way to do it. Like if you want to lean out for the summer, for the wedding, for a cruise, for, I don't know, for life, whatever, you should just probably start switching to healthier foods, period. Not being like, okay, I used to eat fried and Oreos and Jack and Coke every day, and like now I'm gonna start eating tofu and spinach and a lot of salads, like salads. I hate salads. I'm sorry. If you guys love salads, this is amazing. I don't eat a lot of salads. I don't know why. They're just not satisfying. There's like this whole bowl of grains and you're fishing something out with a fork. I would rather take that stuff, blend them into my seitan. Now it's portable. I can take it on the plane. I can eat it after the gym, like in the car, like a little patty. Anyways, I'm saying you can make healthy foods work for you, even if you hate the healthy stuff. You can make it work. It just requires a little bit of creativity. So I usually have oatmeal with some protein for breakfast and berries, some kind of a grain for lunch, and veggies like onions and lentils, a piece of chocolate or some sort of other dessert. I make chocolate by myself sometimes. It's not very hard. Just buy dark chocolate. Pre-workout is typically brown rice cereal, sweet potato, some complex carb. I could even eat I could eat candy. I want candy. It's not a problem. Those calories are going to be put into work in an hour. And post-workout, I typically drink some protein. I mix my own blend, so it's not very hard if you just buy pure brown rice protein, pea protein, and mix it with some stevia or peanut butter protein. It's delicious. Or you can buy pre-mixed blends. There's nothing scary about blends. You can just read the back and see that there's no weird ingredients, and you're done. And in most vegan brands don't have weird ingredients. So I think there's no problem with having protein at all. It's really convenient. It's also portable. I usually have avocado for fats. So I don't usually put oil on things because I really like nuts and nut butters, and quinoa, tofu also have a lot of fat. So I prefer eating my fat from nuts or avocado rather than just drizzle stuff with oil. I'm not going to go into health in terms of oil is bad or not. Like, you just got to make peace with how much oil or how much candy or how much whatever, alcohol, I don't know, you can eat and like stay healthy enough for yourself and keep it that way. And I usually have some late night snacks when I'm working late, like tofu slices or protein muffins. And of course, enough water. If you work out, make sure to salt your foods to have good electrolyte balance. And please make sure to drink enough water. We are mostly water. Our neuron system and muscles are mostly water. Brain is mostly water. The person you love is mostly water. Drink water. Ooh, this is a heavy slide. I'm probably going to run through it really quickly, but I do take some supplements. Some of them are for sports. They're on the right, and the ones on the left are just what I take regardless if I train or not. So I'm not a dietitian. I am a certified fitness professional. So I'm not going to recommend you take anything except for B12. Please take B12. Even people who are not vegan after 52 years old should take B12 to avoid brain damage, to avoid nervous system malfunction, and a bunch of other nasty consequences. You don't want those, take B12. Okay, after those, talk to your doctor for the rest of the things on your slide, please. But this is just what I take. I take vitamin C and D complex, especially in the winter, to not get sick, to have enough energy, not get depressed, especially if I spend a lot of time inside, in the gym, or when I used to work night shift in construction. I don't know what I would do without vitamin D. That stuff is essential. Creatine is probably one of the most well-researched supplements, especially for vegans and vegetarians. There is noticeable increase in brain focus and performance in the gym for people who take creatine. So highly recommend you research creatine. Yeah, take a picture of this slide. I see some people taking pictures. Take a picture of this, research the stuff at the house, and see if any of these could benefit you. Sodium. A lot of the sodium comes from non-vegan sources. So if you don't eat animal foods, I highly recommend salting your foods, especially if you work out. There's nothing evil about salt. I salt my foods generously when I eat because I want for the electrolyte and water balance be good in my body. And for the same reasons, I could have put magnesium and potassium on the slide, but we usually can't consume enough from food, so they're not necessary. They are helpful though if you think you don't have a good electrolyte balance. Iron, especially for women, you don't want to become anemic, take iron. Ahi flour, omega-3, 6, 9, ALA, and DHA supplement. Those are great for hormone health and cardiovascular system, but also if you eat some fried things, we live in the South, we all have, fried sweet potatoes and things like that every once in a while. If you don't eat them all the time, it's probably fine, but if you do, you probably get more omega-6s than the other two, so it's useful to take a supplement just to make sure these things are balanced, okay? Protein supplements, definitely not necessary. I've gone without protein supplements. I've gone using them every day. I personally enjoy having a shake after a workout because it is easy. I can just put it in my shaker, and when I'm working out with a client, I'm drinking it, no problem. It's portable. Don't recommend traveling with them though, because TSA officers may question what is this white powder in your baggie that you're trying to bring on the plane. I have been stopped by that before, and then once I was going for a wedding, like right before my show, and the TSA is like, you can't bring guns on the plane. And I'm dressed pretty much like this. And they're like, girl, they didn't question my protein, they're like, girl, you can't bring guns on the plane. I'm like, what guns? I don't have weapons. And they're like, you can't bring those guns. And I was like, okay, no, okay. You can see a dying stand-up comedian right here. So it didn't work out. Okay, some of you laughed though, thank you. Glucosamine and chondroitin for joint health. I have joint problems in my family, so I just take those in case. Some people can say it agglomerates in the liver over time, so you may as well not. Some people say those nasty things about calcium, so you just gotta talk to your doctor about those. I enjoy taking those. I feel like my knees and elbows and back feel a little better when I do. BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, glutamine and other amino acids. This is what your muscles are built out of, right? So I enjoy drinking them during the workout or when I am not eating for a prolonged period of time because I don't want muscle degradation. I work too hard to get my muscle. I don't want to lose it, so I take it just in case. You can consume enough from food, so they are predominantly in animal foods though, so it is nice to take a supplement and check that it's vegan. I recently realized that I've been screwing up pretty badly because I have not looked where the BCAAs that I consume come from. And it was really recent. I was really upset because they apparently come from duck feathers and animal fur and other nasty things like that. So yeah, you gotta check sources of all these things and make sure they're vegan. A good company is Clean Machine. They make vegan BCAAs and also Performance Labs. Glutamine helps with recovery. Cell Block 80 is just something that I use to block cortisol and increase testosterone production. Free testosterone helps build muscle, and as women we don't have too much testosterone, so we already are at a disadvantage for muscle building. So I may as well take a little bit to help my body do that. I don't think it does a whole lot, but if I can take something that could put me at a 0.01% better than other competitors, I probably will, because this is what I do. L-citrulline is a vasodilator. So what it does is that dilates your blood vessels. More blood rushes to your muscles during the workout, brings more oxygen, then you can perform a little bit more, especially after this period of like 60 seconds of doing the same thing, say like, I don't know, squats or leg curls, whatever. When you're doing repetitive motions and you're going high rep range, that stuff really helps. L-carnitine is supposedly a fat burner. That claim has been debunked, but everybody still keeps taking it, including myself. It's supposed to help fat travel to mitochondria and for your body to use that for energy rather than your muscle. In case y'all don't know, if you just go work out and you haven't eaten for a couple hours, or if you don't have enough protein and amino acids and other things in the blood, your body wants to break down not fat but muscle. It is very convenient for your body to store energy in fat, right? It's light. It is, I think, 3 times lighter than muscles. You can put it right here where you want it, right? And you can break down muscles somewhere else where it thinks you don't want it. So I gotta trick my body into thinking we want the opposite, and that's why it's really hard. Beta-alanine increases carnosine levels, and carnosine reduces muscle fatigue. Okay, I probably bored everybody enough of this. Let's move on. Resources. Game Changers movie, I think, is an amazing resource. They also quote studies in the corner if you haven't noticed while you're watching it, so I would check the studies and maybe not the movie first, but obviously watch the movie, especially if you have some non-vegan naysayer friends. Like, I watched it with a friend who was a carnivore. He wasn't just like keto or paleo. He literally used to eat straight up meat 3 times a day. It was gross. We lived together. So he switched to vegan, lost like 20 pounds. His performance stayed pretty much the same, even though he lost weight very rapidly. And I don't think he went vegan like in the best way possible. He didn't really know like how to cook anything. He ate beans like 3 days a week, 3 times a day, and complained how he's like malnourished. So anyways, do smart, check the resources. Veganproteins.com is probably my favorite bodybuilders. Danny and Giacomo, they have amazing resources, recipes, videos on how to talk to people about this stuff, on ethics. Dr. Milton Mills, he was in What the Health. I really love his lectures and other motivation videos, as well as scientific reviews. Everything he says makes sense, and then just meeting arguments kind of go hang out there somewhere. Mike the Vegan he's a YouTuber. He has really good arguments for like eloquent, again, communication with non-vegans, or he has scientific reviews of articles and covers a lot of common questions and topics of veganism and even plant-based. HappyCow.net is going to help you find local vegan-friendly restaurants or vegetarian. And obviously, #vegan on social media goes a long way. I think I had another slide, but we are running out of time, so let's take questions. My website and Instagram is right there if you want to also take a photo. My email is right there, so if y'all are afraid to ask questions now, please shoot me a message later and let's chat. Remind me that we met here, and that'll make more sense, okay? Okay, I don't know if you guys heard it. She asked what's the best thing to eat if you work out first thing in the morning. So it depends on your goals, right? If your goals are fat loss, you could do it fasted. You could drink some, slides back, you could drink some amino acids. You could just put them in the water, drink some of those to give you some energy. You could eat like half a banana to have some carbs if you're going for like, I don't know, a run longer than 5 miles. If you are doing heavy lifting, you probably could eat like some dried fruit, because they're not going to bloat you up, right? You're not going to be like, oh my god, I ate food and now I'm working out. Eat a date, right? Eat something that has a lot of sugar and a lot of calories, but also has some fiber. and you have energy for a while, and then after you're done with your training, you have your normal breakfast.
There's a question over here. Hi. How would you calculate macros if you're trying to lean out?
There's a lot of calculators online, so what I would do first is I would weigh yourself every day for like a week or two and just note your weight somewhere, okay, like on an Excel spreadsheet. And then download an app to calculate your calories, your macros, like MyFitnessPal or Chronometer. Put everything you eat in there, and just don't try to change anything. Just put what you eat in there and watch your weight and what you eat, how many calories for like a week, 2 weeks. If you see that your weight doesn't change, that's your maintenance. You can also try to use a calculator and plug that and see if you eat like that, if you feel good and if that makes sense. If you don't lose or gain, that's your maintenance. Take the maintenance and subtract however much you feel comfortable leaning out with. I would say usually about a pound a week is good. That means you can lose mostly fat and no muscle. Mostly. When we gain both fat and muscle in different proportions, and when we shred, we also gain both. So I would subtract probably 500 calories a day at the most. That will make you lose about a pound a week, because 1 pound is 3,500 calories. So with that math, you can adjust, right?
What's the most accurate way to measure your body fat?
DEXA scan, caliper. You can also look at pictures, like you can find body fat percentage by photo for men and women, and you would see like how much muscle shows, right? Like, usually if you can see like top 4 of your six pack, you're about 15-16% body fat for women. Lower, you need to have less fat for men, so it's different for men and women. It also depends on where you store it. So like, I store most of my fat in the midsection, so like I can have pretty shredded top, pretty shredded legs, and I'm still gonna have a belly until like the very last weeks of prep, which is so frustrating. So most women store their fat in the hips, so it really depends.
Hi, have you tried intermittent fasting? And if so, have you noticed any difference in your performance?
Thanks, that's a good one. So I tried intermittent fasting at the last stages of competition prep, like right before shows. The only reason why I did that is because I did not want to wake my stomach up and then just be hungry until my next meal. So the amount of food that I used to eat was so little and I had morning cardio, I had fasted cardio. So I would wake up, do like half an hour to 45 minutes of cardio, then I would get home from the gym. So by that, I usually do some work also, or run an errand. By the time I'm home, it's already 11, and I kind of by accident did intermittent fasting. But what also helped is if I ate something, I would have woken my stomach up, and then I'm just like really angry and growling for the rest of the morning. Rather than if you don't wake your stomach up, your stomach is like, oh cool, we forgot how hungry feels. It's okay, I can feel like that for a couple hours. But I should point out that I don't think there's any anti-inflammatory or other like real benefits that people claim outside of just convenience.
Is there any vegan protein powders you suggest that are like really good?
Most of them are good, honestly. What I usually do is I buy, I like Anthony's brand, so I buy naked brown rice, ice, or they call it isolate, or it's one ingredient protein essentially. The only ingredient is brown rice protein. That's it. So you don't have any weird stuff in it. So you could mix that with peanut butter protein, half and half. They do add some sugar and some other things into peanut butter protein, but it is like so delicious. You only need this much to flavor your other proteins. I would buy like spirulina, beetroot powder, maca, lucuma, I don't know, cinnamon. I made a pumpkin spice protein in the fall because, well, it was fall and I'm a white person. So, pea protein is really good. But in terms of brands, Clean Machine makes a good lentil protein, which is a freshwater lentil. It already has some BCAAs and it won like a bunch of awards based on its nutrition. Sun Warrior is good. Orgain, Sprouts has its own brand. It's pretty good. At your local co-op markets, they a lot of the time start making, like Durham Co-op started making their own protein that is pretty good.
Any more questions?
Thank you, guys. If you have any more questions, you can just message me on social media or website.
Next up. We have one more speaker, folks. There's someone here to talk to us about the environment. I'll have my mic back. I'll tell you a little louder. Oh, I can't sit like that for very long. We're trying to air that out. Alright, well, I'm going to go find a trash can. Here's my trash. Do you want to come? Do you want to come to that little booth right over there?
Am I on? Okay. Before, let's see how this works. Am I pointing at something?
Oh, I didn't. I have to go do that. I have to go do that.
Sorry, I'm like,
I will do it.
I'll get the camera.
It's okay. It's okay. I got it. All right, I'm gonna have to run back there.
Anyone? Mike?
Mike has to go touch the laptop. I'm sorry.
Or am I doing something wrong? Thank you. Sorry. Yes. And we're ready for the video too. Okay, so in April 2017, SAS Institute, where my husband works, interviewed us for Earth Month, for Earth Day. And I have that video here. It's a nice introduction to our family. Go ahead, Mike.
It went dark. We had $40 so far.
I think he's trying to get the audio working.
What are you doing? Again? Yeah, she's going to play a video of it.
Which a lot of things ended up being compostable. And we got our trash bags greatly. That first year, we did 6 trash bags for the whole year. And we just reduced from there. The next year it was 4. The next year it was 2. The next year it was part of 1 trash bag. And then last year in 2016, it was 1 grocery bag. So this year, this is our trash so far. We don't have a visual. We have 1 razor head in there. It's the only thing we've produced so far this year. So 2017 should be 1 jar, or less than a jar, hopefully. These are our children. This is Messi. worth the wait, I promise. It was 2012. I'd say we were producing maybe a trash bag a month or so, and I heard a story on NPR about a couple who was doing zero waste. They tried to produce no trash at all for a month. We started with just putting a notepad on top of our countertop and writing down everything we threw away for the month. We asked ourselves for each thing, could we have not gotten this in the first place? Is this something that's recyclable that we didn't realize? We'd be composting this, which a lot of things ended up being compostable. And we got our trash reduced greatly. That first year, we did 6 trash bags for the whole year. And we just reduced from there. The next year it was 4, the next year it was 2, the next year it was part of 1 trash bag. And then last year in 2016, it was 1 grocery bag. So this year, this is our trash so far. We have 1 razor head in there. It's the only thing we've produced so far this year. So 2017 should be 1 jar, or less than a jar, hopefully. These are our children. This is Meji, who's 15 months old, newly just turned 6.
I don't think he's known anything other than recycling. When we started this whole thing, he was 1.
For him, whenever we buy things, sometimes he'll ask for something and I'll say, that's not a recyclable package, or let's see if we can find an alternative.
When we go on hikes, he will pick up trash, and we've learned very quickly that we need to take a bag with us because this is stuff we do not want to hold. He'll point out, there's garbage, get it. And he'll grab it.
Yeah, he's our eco warrior, for sure. Most people think that babies produce a lot of trash, but we haven't found that to be the case. We cloth diaper and use cloth wipes, and we buy a lot of his things secondhand so we don't have the packaging waste. So I think the children produce less waste than we did.
It's buying in bulk, it's bringing your own grocery bag to the store, knowing what is recyclable, how to compost, what to compost, reducing your trash in general. It's pretty quick and simple to get a hold of. We've even gone as far as bringing our own to-go containers when we got to eat, and the green containers on campus work really well for that. When I first started here in the Print Center, I took a lot of the waste paper and scrap and made pads out of it, and I'd take it home for my oldest to draw on and for use for us in general around the house. When I transferred into materials management, I initiated a process to reduce a lot of the unnecessary incoming mail. I contacted companies that were sending mail to employees that are no longer with us here at SAS, and I felt like it was a win-win-win. It was reduced cost on their end, it was a great reduction in waste on our end, and the environment was doing that.
All right. So that pretty well introduces us. This is our family, and I went through in the video a little bit of our timeline. So I first heard about zero waste on NPR in 2012, and at that time we were producing 6 kitchen trash bags a year, which is already a good bit less than average, but I felt like we could do better. So we really started tracking our waste and asking ourselves for each item, how can we reduce this? How can we get this out of our trash? And so it was 4 bags, then 2 bags, 1 bag. This is our jelly jar for this year. So we've been doing a jelly jar a year since 2017. So this is our 3rd jelly jar. And none of it actually goes to the landfill because I just have a collection of jelly jars in my cabinet with the year written on them. So my husband jokes I'm going to be that crazy old lady, like, there's a jar from 2022. So most of what's in our jar are the multi-layered lids that come on orange juice or vitamins. It has a foil, a plastic, a paper layer. Those are really hard to recycle. So that's the majority of what's in there. In the video, I only had the razor head. We've since switched to safety razors, so we don't have razor heads anymore. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's not necessarily the end goal for everyone. It's not necessarily feasible for everyone, but it's what we've been able to get down to. And I don't know that we'll ever be at a true zero, but I always tell people, find what your lower limit is and then challenge yourself to go further. See if you can make even less than that. So we're always moving towards zero. And that's the whole goal, as long as you keep moving towards zero. So I tell people, when you first think I'm going to reduce my waste, how can I get started? The first thing I did to get started was just to take stock of what we were throwing away. We put a notepad on top of our counter, and every time we put something in the trash can, we would write it down, put a tick mark if we'd already put that item in the trash can before, so it'd say chip bag, and it'd have 6 tick marks next to it or what have you. After we filled a list, or it might have been about a month or a full sheet or whatever it was, we went through each thing and analyzed it to ask ourselves, could this have ended up somewhere else? And to do that, we used what I call the new 5 R's. So the reduce, reuse, recycle symbol, it always confused me because it looks like it's arrows following one another, which is the recycle symbol. But I hadn't understood that it's actually an order of operations, that it's reduce first, and then if you end up buying it and you are done with it, then reuse it, and then if you can't reuse it in the end, recycle it. So it's an order of operations, it's not a circle. It was a little confusing to me. But I like to add to that refuse at the beginning. So don't get the item in the first place, refuse it. Then reduce, then reuse, recycle, and then if it's something that's of organic material, then rot is the 5th R. And a lot of what we were putting in the trash can, we could actually compost. And that was the biggest reduction in the amount we were getting rid of. So we're going to go through the 5 R's and kind of talk about each of those levels. And remember that it's an order of operations, so it's not enough to just say, well, I can recycle everything we're making and that'll fix it, because everyone knows recycling's not perfect. It still uses energy. It can't be recycled endlessly. So you have to start at the top. So refuse and reduce. Before you bring something into your home, see that barrier as a sacred barrier. I'm not bringing something into my possession. I'm not taking that freebie. I'm not buying that thing that's really cheap that I maybe don't need. I'm not, going to get this single-use plastic if I don't have to. So ask yourself first, do I need this? Just say no, no thank you, I don't need a straw, I don't need a fork, I don't need another Frisbee with a corporate logo on it, whatever the item is, refuse in the first place. If it's something you do need, but maybe not long-term, look into borrowing it, see if it's something you can borrow from someone else, or that you can improvise or make do with something you already have. So making that sacred barrier, I'm not bringing something into my home unless I absolutely have to, because I'm responsible for its end life. And it'll be on me to put it into the landfill if that's where it ends up going. So be very thoughtful and intentional about that first choice to bring it in. If you do buy something, buy things with less packaging. In the U.S., 90% of our solid waste is food or food packaging. I mean, the seals that I still throw away are food packaging. So if you can buy things in bulk, find things at the farmer's market, bring your own bag or your own container whenever you go to a store that has things in bulk, so you're not getting the disposable containers. If you buy something in a container, see if you can find a container that you can reuse, a glass jar. These are applesauce jars we use for our dry goods, for our beans and seeds and those kind of things. Or buy something secondhand where the packaging has already been disposed of, and so you're not bringing more packaging into your home when you get it. So second step, reuse. Invest in reusable things in the first place. I have a bag of props. I don't have a really good way to display them here, but we have reusable items. We have to-go containers that we use, produce bags. My kids use all variety of reusable food containers or snacks, including lunch bags, so we don't buy plastic lunch bags. And also silverware. I keep things like forks, spoons, stainless steel straws, and I keep these with us all the time. So investing in reusable items in the first place, they're stainless steel, they're going to last us forever. And I don't have to get disposable ones every time we go out to eat. Find a second life for your refuse. If you're done with it, seek out options like a junk swap or a buy nothing page or donating it to a thrift store. Or get crafty, even for things like wine bottles or jars. A lot of times you can find someone who wants those things. So seek out resources before you just toss it into the recycle bin or into the trash can. recycle. And again, that's after you've gone through the first 2 steps. You tried not to bring it into your life in the first place. You tried to find a new home for it. You've decided that now it has to be recycled. No one wants it. You've already got it. Make sure you're recycling everything that you can. 75% of solid waste in America is recyclable. I'm not sure how that number's changed since China's not taking our plastics anymore, and a lot of people are scrambling. Municipalities and recycling companies are scrambling, trying to figure out what we're doing with the plastics going forward. But only about 30% of what's recyclable actually gets recycled, because there's so much misinformation, and people just aren't up to date on what's recyclable. So make sure you educate yourself on what's recyclable in your county. It's different from county to county, or if you have town recycling, it's different. And you need to check that about every 6 months, because it does change frequently. There's Wake County website. If you live in a different county, you can find their website. Just type in blank county recycling, and you can find all the information on where to recycle and what you can recycle, and you'll probably find that something you're throwing away is actually recyclable. People are always amazed at some of the things they've been throwing away that they just assumed were trash. TerraCycle is another option. If you haven't heard of TerraCycle, it's a little complex to explain, but definitely check out their website. They have brigades where they collect all kinds of things that aren't traditionally recyclable, like foil chip bags and plastic wrappers, cling wrap that's not recyclable, and most of it they turn into plastic lawn furniture or benches, and then you can go on there and buy the benches from them so you can see the full cycle of how it works. But that's been really helpful for us in those last things that we can't manage, like the little plastic foil that comes on top of glass bottles, those last things that are really difficult to get out of our lives. We've gotten a TerraCycle bin to make sure those are being recycled as well. So some surprising things. These are the things, I made this slide because every time I did a presentation, people would come up and ask me, are gable top cartons, like soy milk containers, recyclable? And they are. Pretty much every county takes those, and a lot of people assume they're not. Aseptic boxes, like juice boxes that have the corner foil that comes up, aluminum foil as long as it's clean, plastic wrap. The bins at the grocery store take more than just plastic bags. Plastic wrap, your cereal box liners, the plastic that's inside the cereal box, any other stretchy plastic like your produce bags, dry cleaner bags, and again, try to reduce those things first. Try not to get them in the first place. But if you've gotten them, they can be recycled at the grocery store with plastic bags. Electronics and peripherals. Wake County has electronics recycling. There's a place in Raleigh called Anything with a Plug that takes electronics, and that includes CDs, DVDs, VHS tapes, as well as your electronics. Your earbuds, anything like that. Wake County takes those and recycles them, takes the parts that they can reuse. And rigid plastics like buckets, lawn furniture, strollers, car seats, the plastic children's outdoor toys, the multi-material recycling takes those and repurposes them. So there's a lot of recycling options that people aren't making use of that are out there. And then the last one is rot, which is compost. This is a picture of our compost. 21% of the waste in the U.S. landfill is food. That's 33 million tons, or half a pound per person per day. That's a lot of food that's going into landfills, and it's not breaking down. People assume sometimes that the food is, going to break down and it's okay to throw it away, but these organic matters need air and oxygen and water and sun exposure, and they're not getting that inside of a plastic bag. So they're sitting in there, they're creating methane, they're not breaking down appropriately. So getting your food out not only will allow you to throw away less often, because your trash can won't stink anymore, but it will actually allow those organic products to go back into the earth where they belong. Our compost is an open air natural compost. There's all kinds of compost options out there. If you're in an apartment or in a neighborhood and you can't do an open air compost, there's different compost bins. You can find a company like Compost Now and compost with them. There's also in a lot of towns community gardens that are happy to take your compost. Wake County actually takes compost. They don't do curbside pickup at the time. I think they are testing it in some areas, but You can go to specific facilities, and again, if you check Wake County's recycling website, you can find what facilities take in food scraps, collect them in a bucket, go dump it weekly, bi-weekly, but get those things out of the landfill. You can compost a lot more than you think. This is my favorite link for this. It's a list of like 100 and, I don't know, it's over 100 different things you can compost. And the basic ones people think of are things like food and kitchen scraps, paper scraps. That's probably the only things we were composting, because we were composting before 2012, but we were still making 6 kitchen trash can bags a year. I don't think we were composting our bathroom scraps yet, so tissue, floss, if it's compostable floss, which I have one I'm going to share, cotton swabs, cotton balls, things like that. Any of those organic paper materials, yard scraps like leaves, branches, dead plants, all of that can go into the compost. And that link has a whole lot more. Added bonus, next year's fertilizer. We've gotten really great fertilizer. Don't have to buy fertilizer because our compost is always, I know it's, it's my vegan food scraps. It's my personal things that are in it. And then I also put burn under there. That's obviously not for anything potentially hazardous, and anything that you can burn could be composted as well. So we do have bonfires and home fires, so we burn some of these things, clothes that can't be given away like underwear, socks, anything that's overly worn. You can also recycle those. Wake County has a really good fabric recycling program where they even have bags that they drop off that you can recycle fabric in, so look into that if you don't know about it. Dryer lint stuffed in a toilet paper roll, that's where all our dryer lint goes, and it's a really good fire starter. And then wood scraps like popsicle sticks, toothpicks, box, and our yard wood. And we just put it in our fire pit or in a box next to our fireplace, and the ash is really good for the garden, so the ash gets a second life as well. And then the last destination of your item, if you can't do any of the aforementioned things, is the trash. So the only thing that goes in our trash are things we couldn't avoid buying or acquiring in the first place, that neither we nor someone else could reuse, that can't be recycled or composted or burned, which leaves about a jar's worth. So my top tips for people are: be prepared. When you go out, know that you're going to be offered some freebie. Know that you're going to need a fork or a cup for what you're about to purchase, and think to yourself, do I have my cup? Do I have my straw? Do I have my fork set? Do I have a cloth napkin with me? Have all of those things with you. Be prepared so that you don't end up unawares and say, oh, I'm going to have to take a plastic fork because I forgot to bring mine with me. Be willing to pause before you make that decision, instead of just automatically taking what someone hands you or grabbing something by the register. Stop and say, wait, do I need that? Can I use this? Do I really need it? Is this something I can leave behind and say no thank you? Can I take a picture of the card instead of taking the physical card? Invest in durability. Buy things that are going to last. And it doesn't have to be a cute, expensive travel set. It can be from the thrift store. It can be silverware you already have at home that you decide, this is my new travel set. Wrap it up in a linen napkin. That's going in my glove box now. This is my new travel set. It doesn't have to be something that you go out and specifically purchase. You don't have to invest money into it to do this. Just think about what you already have, what you can use, how you can avoid the trash that you create. Research before you act. For everything that we were throwing away, I stopped and Googled, can I recycle blank? Can I compost blank? Is there an option for reusing this? What do I do with old sneakers? What do I do with old socks? And research it before you just put it into your trash can. And change your language. One of the biggest changes we made is to, instead of saying just plastic straw, plastic fork, saying single use, because it really kept in the forefront of our minds that this is something we only get to use once. This is oil that was dredged up, millions of years old, and made into plastic to make this work for me to eat this 10-minute meal, and now it's gone forever. And it's never going to break down, and it's going to sit in the landfill forever and ever for my 10-minute meal. And when you start thinking of things in those terms, it really changes how you talk about it to other people and how you think about it, how big of a deal you make of it when you have to take that disposable item. So the benefits, if you're not convinced of how wonderful it is to live zero waste, you save money. So much of the price of an item is in the packaging. So if you buy something with less packaging, typically it's going to cost a little less. Less impulse buying. If you stop yourself from buying that thing and think about it, then putting that pause in can save you a lot of money. Less rebuying. If you're buying things that are durable and made to last and aren't single-use items, then you're not rebuying and rebuying and rebuying. And secondhand is typically cheaper. If you buy something secondhand, you're not paying that initial cost for it. You eat healthier. If you're not buying the things in packages, then you're getting more whole food items. You're getting less processed foods. It's those bulk grains and beans and produce that are healthier and don't come in all of the packaging. So even if you don't say, well, I don't need this because it's not healthy, maybe you choose not to get it for the packaging, you end up eating healthier. And better meal planning. If you have to think about where you're buying things in bulk, then you can plan out your meals better. You're not eating whatever's on hand and quick and convenient. And you save the world. The average American produces 4.4 pounds of trash per person per day. It's over 1,600 pounds per person per year. Our family of 4 has produced a jar for the last several years. And if a jar is not your number, if you get down to a trash bag a week, a trash bag a month, a trash bag a year, whatever reduction you do, it's going to be way less than what you were before, than what people do on average, and any movement towards zero waste is a movement in the right direction. And then lastly, I invite you to join the movement. My blog is zerowasteveg.wordpress.com. I don't update it a whole lot, but I have a lot of really good posts on there from the past that are just as relevant now as they were when I wrote them 3 years ago. So my group is also on Facebook, Going Green, and we have a lot of discussions there. People ask for resources, ask for recommendations. It's a really good place to just bounce ideas off each other on our zero waste journey. There are lots of other local and global zero waste groups. I'm involved with Towards Zero Waste Raleigh, Towards Zero Waste Cary. They're on Facebook. And then word of mouth, just talk to people about zero waste. Just getting that phrase out there is so helpful in getting people thinking about zero waste and thinking about how we can all live on the planet with a smaller footprint. And tell people what you're trying to do or about something that stuck with you from this talk, and get others involved in implementing these changes as well. And that's it for me. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a mic if you have any questions.
So, was I that thorough? The 5 things? Yeah. It's reduce, refuse, reuse, recycle, rot.
So burn isn't one of the 5.
It's not one of the 5. I kind of keep it in the category. She asked if burn was one of the 5. So it's kind of in the category with rot, because anything that you can compost, you could, well, no, anything that you could burn, you could also compost. So, these are like the paper goods. It would take longer for it to break down, but those socks and clothes and the lint, all of that could also break down in the compost. But we burn it because we already have fires. And by burning those things, I'm avoiding having to get fire starters or fuels or other things that would not be as environmentally friendly. I have things that are really great fire starters by themselves.
Hey, just a question about if you're, in a place where it's really hard to use your utensils. People just, you're at a fair, you're at a place where your friends invited you, like nobody's taking your utensils, it's too late, they already gave you like the plastic or styrofoam, whatever thingy, and at a convention, something. How do you kind of try to minimize the waste? I think my biggest problem is going to these events and like people think they know what vegan is, but then they think it's vegetarian or something. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll eat that wedding cake because I love you, even though I'm damn sure it's not vegan. But how do you kind of minimize things like that? Thank you.
Right. So I think you kind of had 2 different parts there about food waste and also about like forks and disposable waste. So we keep a bag of our basics on us all the time. I always have my coffee mug if I know I'm going somewhere that has coffee. My kids are using them right now. They were supposed to be my props, but I have these collapsible cups that are teeny tiny. They're about the size of the lid here, and they collapse down. I keep those in my bag as well, and my set here. So I took this with me to the fair last week. I have it with me here today. We used it at the food trucks today. Some of it is definitely that be prepared part. So whenever I go to a restaurant and order something, I'll say outright, no straw. I say no plastic fork. I don't need a fork. I don't need whatever. I have my own this and that. And my child has my prop. So we have this collapsible cup. I keep these on hand all the time because I never know when my kids are going to want something to drink at a place, and I don't want to take the disposable cup. So we have the disposable or the collapsible one on hand. They also have their own water bottles, and I take that to the fair with me too, and my water bottle. So a lot of it is that be prepared, like know that they're probably going to hand you something disposable and say up front you don't want it. And we were actually just talking about places where they bring the straw already in your drink. So it's going to get thrown away at this point regardless. And so you do run into that sometimes. So, and you won't be perfect. I'm still not perfect. You won't be perfect from the get-go. It's always about getting as close to zero as you can. So just get in the habit of saying it, of saying, I don't need this, I don't need that. As far as food waste, also, up front, first of all, I won't eat anything that's not vegan. I've been vegan for almost 20 years. I accidentally had something that didn't even have cheese on it, but it previously had cheese on it that had been pulled off, and I spent the next 40 hours vomiting just from the grease from the cheese. So I really don't eat anything that's not vegan because I know not only do I not believe in it, but it's going to make me miserable sick. So saying up front, I'm not going to want a piece of cake. I'm not going to want that. Thank you, but no thank you. And if they bring me something that's accidentally not vegan, I know some people will choose to eat it to not create the food waste, but for my own health, I cannot eat the thing if they make a mistake on it, and I have to send it back. I have at times said, can I keep this and take it to my mom, who is not vegan? Would you mind if we just box this up so I can take it because I don't want it to be thrown away? Someone made me a drink once, and I was like, will someone here drink that, please? Because I'm not going to, but I really don't want you to dump it just because you've already made it. So, but yeah, just being prepared, saying things up front before they even make the waste or before they serve you the thing, and then offering it to someone else if I have to.
I enjoyed the information. That was new to me. I hadn't thought about that piece. Do you know of any documentaries that you would recommend? We have a lot of vegan documentaries on a lot of the food and factory farming and how that impacts the environment. Do you have any that you would recommend on reducing waste and trash and composting and everything with that part?
That's a fantastic question. I don't have any that I can think of off the top of my head. I feel certain that there are. I know there's a lot of good environmental documentaries. There's a lot of good environmental documentaries out there that do talk about waste reduction, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. But now that you've asked me, I'm going to go home and research that, and I'm going to put it on my Facebook page, and I will include it in my recommendations at the end of my slideshow as well. So thank you very much for that question. Being vegan, I've been healthier overall than I was when I wasn't vegan, and also healthier than my non-vegan friends in general. Like, I don't get sick as often. I, have more stamina than them. Just overall, I felt healthier as a vegan. And my pregnancies were very normal pregnancies. I was vegan throughout the pregnancy. I took a vegan prenatal. I breastfed both of them, extended breastfeeding, and it was just very healthy pregnancies. My cravings were chocolate and bananas and peanut butter and pomegranates and grapefruit. Pomegranates and grapefruit with the first, chocolate and peanut butter with the second. But no, I didn't have any non-vegan cravings. I guess if I had, I would have found a vegan version of it to satisfy it. Or, figured out what the base of it was. Like, am I craving that because it's salty? Am I craving it because it's sweet? what's going on here. But yeah, I had very healthy, natural home births, and I don't feel like veganism was a barrier at all for the pregnancy. I felt like I had really healthy life in general and healthy pregnancies as well. And I'd be happy to talk more about it afterwards if you'd like.
Any other questions? Just a reminder, we do separate the trash. We have a trailer that someone's going to take away at the end of the event to recycle all the recyclables. And I haven't seen any overflowing trash cans, so thanks everyone for your support. And I'd like to say thanks for Josie. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you very much.
Hey everybody, I'm Mike. Actually, Denise, you can come up here. We want to give a few closing remarks. We want to give thanks to everybody that helped out, because really everyone here, at least with one of these shirts, including Joe over there who's hauling the trash away, is a volunteer, and we couldn't do it without you guys. This is the first time we've done an event like this in Wake Forest, and just so you know, we've already reserved this park again for next year. November 1st, World Vegan Day is going to be right here, the second annual Wake Forest Veg Fest. So put that on your calendars. Actually, we've already got an event for it on Facebook too, so you can go sign up, invite your friends. And between now and then, we've also got the Raleigh Veg Fest, which some of you guys may know about. That is Sunday, April 5th, and that's in Moore Square, downtown Raleigh. So invite all your friends to that. We have a separate Facebook page for Raleigh Veg Fest, separate event. And we've already got Dr. Greger. Anybody know Dr. Michael Greger? We showed his video here on the screen earlier. We're going to have the same screen at Raleigh Veg Fest, and Dr. Greger will be there live to talk about his new book and do some Q&A, all that, along with many other speakers as well. So definitely put that on your calendar. It's also no charge general admission to get into that. And I wanted to tell you guys about our calendar, because actually all the stuff that we bring, the whole setup, and we have even more that we have not yet brought on board, because like these letters were put together by a vegan artist down in Florida, and she's actually going to refurbish them. You may notice that you could write on them, and if you have kids, bring them up. We have a bowl here of markers. You can write little messages on them. They're almost full because we've been touring them all around the East Coast. We did 4 events in the last year. This is the 5th one in 1 year. But we have 15 events now between now and next year. We're going to be bringing them around. They're going to put a new coat of paint on them and make sure they're refurbished, so everything you wrote will be on there, just under a layer of paint. And then we can do it all over again. We're just going to keep bringing it to event after event. And we have more stuff by this artist we're going to add to our events and bring them. And this screen is new. This is the first event that we put the screen on. And Denise and I were here a week ago practicing setting it up, because it's very complicated. But it's great for outdoor events, because you guys can, you can see everything clearly out in broad daylight. We were able to show you guys a movie, and we hope to do another showing of Code Blue and maybe another movie if you guys know of any other ones that want to be shown or can be shown legally, because Dilip was here. He's the executive producer. He was the one who allowed us to show that movie. We'd like to do more movies like this in public places. Even without electricity, I have an electric car that I drove over here. We can power most of this stuff from my car. As long as we have a place to show it in public, we can bring everything mobily, and bring the message to everybody, because we, our nonprofit, plantbaseddiet.org, we have a tent back there. You can find more information. We are just a public education organization, and we want to talk about plant-based diets, veganism, all that. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, we have our calendar of events at plantbasedevents.info. plantbasedevents.info. That takes you to our calendar, and you can find out about all these 15 events that are large-scale events, annual events. We also have other events that we do, like Royal India, which is, they already packed up. The Indian place that was here, hopefully you guys tried their delicious Indian food. We do events at their location sometimes, a couple times throughout the year. You find out about that. Oh, and also Wake Forest community information. You see us up there. I'm Mike Young, if you don't know me. I'm the guy who started the Wake Forest community information. So I'm sure you may have heard about this event, or you're watching it right now, live on Wake Forest Community Information. Every single video every single speaker that was here today, with the exception of the movie, because we could not show that because of legal issues, is on a video on Wake Forest Community Information or on plantbasedvideos.info. You can go to plantbasedvideos.info. You can see or rewatch all these videos. We have a video for each one. And every other event that we're going to have throughout this next year is going to be, the videos are going to be broadcast live, and they'll remain on plantbasedvideos.info for you to show to your friends. Like this last Zero Waste talk from Josie was great. Like, I mean, I know I learned a lot of information too. What she does is amazing. I'd like to see it again, so just go to plantbasedvideos.info. You can watch the video there, or if you're local in Wake Forest, just look in the videos section of Wake Forest Community Information. It's in there. wfci.one is the short URL to take you there. And let's see, what else can I tell you? Oh, our local vegan group, vegantriangle.org. That's our local vegan group. So if you guys are not in that, please go ahead and join it. It's a Facebook group. We have like 2,400 members, I believe. And all we do is talk about local vegan-related things going on in the Triangle area. And you know, we talk about this, and actually all those videos are also in that group too, because we got some new software. We're live simulcasting through multiple platforms of social media, not on just Facebook, but also on YouTube. And did I forget anything else? I'm trying to think. No, I think that's it. But as you can see, we have a lot going on. And if you guys want to buy a shirt, we have extra shirts we gave to the volunteers. $20 donation. We have lots of sizes left at our information tent. You can wear a Wake Forest Veg Fest shirt, right? The great looking shirts. And we're going to have different ones for Raleigh Veg Fest. Actually, you may have noticed, if you look at the logo, we have the Raleigh skyline in here. You can see it on the screen in the background, like a shadow. And then we have the suburban look of Wake Forest there. And that's now, if you've noticed, the logo for Wake Forest Community Information is kind of the same logo. We've put them together because we really want this. We believe that this movement is the future, and that before too long, hopefully everyone will adopt this lifestyle. And because we have Wake Forest Community Information, if you guys aren't familiar, it's almost 50,000 member group. And it's just talking about local stuff going on in Wake Forest. And there's only about that number of people in the town. So literally almost everyone in the town is on there. We really do feel that this is the way that things will be in the future. So that's why we incorporated that into our logo. And the Raleigh logo is not the suburban scene, but actually the Raleigh skyline that you see in the background. Well, that's in the foreground on the Raleigh logo for Raleigh Community Information and also for Raleigh Veg Fest, because those are our two biggest areas that we're into locally. So I think that's it. You got anything else to add?
And when's the Raleigh Veg Fest?
Sunday, April 5th.
Next year.
Yeah, of 2020. And yeah, so if anybody wants to help out with that, you'll soon be able to sign up as a volunteer. We have not launched the website yet because we were so busy working on this. But now that this one has been completed and that we've already got the venue for next year, now we're on to Raleigh Veg Fest. And if you guys don't like the cold weather and want to follow us further south, check our calendar, plantbasedevents.info, and you'll see that we're going into Florida next. Our actual next big event is Cape Coral, Florida, if you guys know where that is, on the 24th of this month. It's a few days before Thanksgiving. So that'll be fun. The weather will be really good. And actually, I think the weather was great here too. And we expect similar for next year. I think it'll be even better with World Vegan Day as a celebration, right? And some of you guys may have noticed, I founded the Wake Forest Community Information Group, but Sarah Hammond was actually here for quite a while. Some of you guys may have met Sarah. Sarah is one of the moderator team for Wake Forest Community Information, and anybody who's been on there knows that we have our work cut out for us, okay? We hear complaints all the time, like either we let too much happen on that group, or we're like censoring everything. You can't please everybody, so we hear it on all sides. Sarah is one of the team that's behind the scenes. She was here earlier, but she'll be here, again next year. You get to meet her if you didn't meet her this year. And I want to let you know, if you're not familiar with Wake Forest Community Information, it's very big, like I said, but it's not just the size. It's the level of activity that happens on there. We kind of view that as like the new way that people interact locally, because you can instantly interact with almost the whole town, like all the time. And just to give you an example of how many people use it, we have stats as moderators and administrators to tell us how active the group is. And consistently every month we get about 250,000 interactions on that group every single month. Every 28 days actually they do it. 250,000 interactions. That means comments, posts, likes, shares, all that is a quarter. I don't know how much that is a day, but we can barely keep up with it. That's what I'm saying. We got our work cut out for us, but we think it's a great community resource. And Raleigh community information is like the next up and coming one, because that's growing at like twice the rate now that Wake Forest is. We only have 30,000 people in that group, but it's growing at such a fast rate that it will, in the near future, surpass Wake Forest community information, which it should. It's just that it's taken a while to get that level of interactivity. So if you guys, anything local, find out about that, you can spread the message of this lifestyle, like I said, there, and every video is in those groups. Both Raleigh and Wake Forest community information have every single talk from today in those groups. So you can go in and comment on it. Whenever you comment on anything, it bumps it to the top of the group. That's how they work in groups. So you'll increase exposure to this movement by just going in and commenting on one of these videos. Just look in the video section. So anyway, we're thankful for you guys, and we'll see you again, World Vegan Day, next year.
Thanks, everyone.
Nice meeting you and listening to you. I enjoyed it. Yeah, right there. Never mind. I enjoyed it. I live in Isaiah. I went to the one in Charlotte first Thursday of September. It was nice. Yeah. It's a lot of people. I think there's like 10. That tent, yeah.
I've been there one time.
Yeah, that was my first time.
So like, these are like, these are some pretty good.
It was beautiful to see, I guess, our community. And it was overwhelming.
No worse than my yoga pants.
What I was going to do is just wear like a tunicky shirt.
I love the yoga pants. I can do anything.
That I connected with the and it's not that one is better than the other. Each one offers it. But I just enjoyed the personal touch of it, I guess, just because we were able to kind of get to it. And you felt like you was at someone's house, so to speak. But it was just very good information. It was just very down to earth. I just loved it. It was beautiful. Like, it wasn't overly a Charlotte, viewing.
You liked mine, didn't you?
It was just more intimate, but it was just so impactful to me in a different way than even that. So it's not about the size, but I guess it's just about the community.
Yeah, and this was the first year, right?
And this was
Charleston forever. Yeah. I mean, that's why
I had to do it.
with my connections to
I just had to.
Right? Because we want to reach the whole community. We're not trying to just keep it quiet.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely a movement, and I think my daughter lives in Fayetteville, so their second one is this year, and I went to the first one. Didn't go this year. And it's okay, because everybody's first one is they're trying to get their feel of how to kind of get going.
Where is she? She lives in Fayetteville too.
Oh,
yeah.
And it was nice. It was just a couple of, it was vendors primarily. It wasn't as much food because we come to eat. I think it's what people are looking for, because you're looking to try different things without having to ask, is this, or can you do whatever. But, and there wasn't a format of speakers and stuff, but everybody has to find their unique when they're trying to start. So, and it was nice. And I'm sure it was probably more improved on this. It was just wonderful, and you wouldn't tell that it was the first one. But it was a great job. I just really enjoyed everything. Nothing to critique, but you could do better. Just keep it going. But you guys did a great job. I'm looking forward to it. But great job. Thank you guys so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for being out here.